let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something that literally affects every single one of us every single day. We're going to look at the invisible hands quietly guiding your everyday choices. It's this absolutely fascinating look at behavioral psychology and how the world around us is essentially engineered to prompt very specific reactions from our brains. Are you being manipulated right now? I know, it's a heavy question, right? Think about it. You make hundreds of decisions a day. What coffee to buy, who to trust at work, or, whether you really needed that monthly hot sauce subscription box. But what's genuinely wild here is how research shows a massive chunk of those decisions aren't entirely yours. You're constantly being influenced without even realizing it. We all love to think we're these completely rational actors, but the reality, our brains take shortcuts. And well, those shortcuts are highly exploitable. And here's the kinda unsettling truth of it all. Before today is over, you will have been unknowingly steered at least 10 times by tactics you were probably never taught to recognize. No, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's just documented behavioral psychology. From the second you wake up to the moment you hit the pillow, these silent mechanisms are just humming in the background. But hey, don't worry. The goal of this explainer isn't to make you paranoid. It's to give you the playbook so you can finally spot these things in the wild. Okay, moving to section 1, tricks controlling your wallet, specifically looking at the tactics used in commerce and buying. You see, commerce is basically the ultimate testing ground for this stuff, and retailers have absolutely perfected these methods over the decades. Trick number 1 is social proof. Picture this. You're browsing online, right? You see 2 identical products. One has thousands of 5-star reviews, the other has 0. You immediately go for the reviewed one, right? It is wild how your brain is wired to just completely trust the collective choice. We rely entirely on the opinions of total strangers whose taste we know literally nothing about. Your primitive brain is just whispering, hey, if everyone else did it, it's gotta be safe. So that brings us to trick 2, scarcity. And there's a specific number you really need to remember here, and that's 3. Behavioral economics research shows that the fear of missing out, the fear of losing something, is actually 3 times more motivating than the desire to gain something. Just think about booking a hotel or buying shoes online, and you see that little red text, only 3 left in stock. Suddenly, boom, your hesitation is gone. You weren't even sure you wanted it, but the threat of it disappearing, it literally forces your hand to click buy. It's honestly one of the most powerful influence tools we've ever studied. Moving on to trick 3, anchoring. Retailers use this every single day. You see a price tag where this massive original price is crossed out and a lower sale price is sitting right there underneath it. Well, here's the secret sauce. That original inflated number, that becomes the anchor. It sets a completely false reference point in your mind. Every single number you look at after that is judged against that first anchor. You aren't buying the item because it's genuinely worth the sale price. You're buying it because you feel like you're getting a steal compared to the anchor. They've framed your perception of value before you even had a chance to process it. And then we have trick 4, reciprocity. This is a deeply researched behavioral response famously studied by psychologist Robert Cialdini. Think about the last time a salesperson handed you a free sample, maybe a piece of cheese at the store or a tiny lotion at a makeup counter. They didn't ask you to buy anything, right? But receiving that simple free gift creates this subtle automatic obligation in your brain. You suddenly feel this weird itch to return the favor by buying something. As social creatures, we are fundamentally hardwired to return what we receive, whether we actually want the whole shebang or not. Let's jump into section 2, tricks manipulating your trust, and how our social interactions are essentially gamified. So looking at this next category, we quickly see it's not just about what you buy, it's about who you believe. Trick 5 is the halo effect. Simply seeing someone who is attractive, confident, or just really well-dressed makes your brain automatically assign them positive, entirely unearned qualities. Before they even open their mouth, your subconscious is like, oh, they must be super intelligent, competent, and trustworthy. Your brain literally takes one positive data point, how they look, and draws this glowing halo around their entire personality. It's an evolutionary shortcut that marketers, politicians, and influencers use relentlessly to just completely bypass your critical thinking. Okay, we're going to pick up the pace a bit here. Here are tricks 6, 7, and 8, and these are running on you constantly to overwhelm your defenses and exploit your inherent trust. First up is the door in the face technique. This is when someone hits you with an absolutely absurd, massive request they know for sure you're going to turn down, just so their actual, smaller request feels completely reasonable by comparison. Next is repetition. This one is terrifyingly simple. If you hear a claim enough times, your brain just starts to process it as the truth purely because it feels familiar. Familiarity breeds belief. And finally, authority.
We are deeply conditioned to defer to perceived experts. This means a lab coat, a sharp suit, or a uniform can make us trust someone implicitly. We basically treat their outfit as actual proof of competence. Crazy, right?
Moving on to Section 3, Traps Clouding Your Judgment, which looks at our internal cognitive biases. The thing is, this manipulation isn't just external stuff coming from salespeople or influencers. A lot of it comes from the inside out. Tricks 9 and 10 are herd mentality and the sunk cost trap. These are two massive cognitive biases that often work rapidly in tandem. Herd mentality is that magnetic pull to buy something or believe something just because everyone around you is doing it. To our primitive brains, the crowd feels like safety. If everyone's running, you run. On the flip side, the sunk cost trap is what keeps you frozen. It makes you stay in a bad situation, like a terrible movie, a failing project, or even a toxic relationship, just because of the time, money, or emotion you've already invested. Your past investments basically become this heavy anchor, dragging down all your future choices.
Let's wrap up with Section 4, Taking Back Your Mind. Here is the strategy to protect yourself.
Now, if you're sitting there feeling a bit overwhelmed by how pervasive all this is, just take a breath. It's okay. Now that we've mapped out the battlefield, let's look at the ultimate behavioral protection strategy. The absolute best defense against all 10 of these daily tricks isn't to try and outsmart the system with complex logic. It's actually just about interrupting the automatic response. The strategy is incredibly straightforward. 1, pause before you decide. 2, take one slow breath. And 3, make a conscious choice. These manipulators, they rely on momentum and instinct. By simply inserting a physical pause into your decision-making process, you completely derail their momentum. You literally pull the decision out of the primitive, reactive part of your brain and put it back into the logical, conscious part.
And right there, in that deliberate pause, ask yourself this exact question. Is this what I want, or is this what I have been guided to want? Let that really sink in for a second. Just asking that single question breaks the spell of behavioral conditioning. It forces you to actively look for the artificial scarcity or those anchoring price tags or the social proof that's subtly pushing you along. It demands that you actually trace the origin of your own desire.
Ultimately, knowledge is the only thing that really turns these tricks off. It's kind of like turning the lights on in a pitch-black room. Once you can actually see the tripwires, you just step right over them. Having the psychological vocabulary to spot these invisible hands, to be able to say, okay, that's just the halo effect, or wow, they're really trying to use reciprocity on me right now. It immediately strips them of their power over you. You go from being a passenger to being an observer. It's a real game changer. So, as we wrap up this explainer, and you step back out into a world that is meticulously designed to guide your choices, I want to leave you with one final, very important thought. Who will you let control your next decision? The next time you feel that sudden urge to buy, to trust, or to just follow the crowd, remember these 10 invisible tactics. Take a breath, take back your mind, and make your next choice truly your own.